React components are the building blocks of any React application. They allow you to split the UI into independent, reusable pieces, and think about each piece in isolation. Components can either be functional components or class components, and they return React elements that describe what should appear on the screen. Types of React components. Functional components. These are simple JavaScript functions that return JSX. They do not have their own state initially, before React 16.8, but with hooks, like useState, useEffect, functional components can manage state and lifecycle events. Example of a functional component. Import React from React. Function greeting, props. Return h1 hello, props.name, /h1. Export default greeting. In this example, greeting is a functional component that accepts props and renders the value of props.name. Class components. Class components are ES6 classes that extend React.component. They have a render method that returns JSX, and can manage their own internal state using this .state and this .setState. Example of a class component. Import React, component from React. Class greeting extends component. Render. Return h1 hello, this .props.name, /h1. Export default greeting. This greeting class component uses this .props.name to display the value passed to the name prop. Functional versus class components. Functional components. Simple to write and test. Before React 16.8, they couldn't handle state or lifecycle methods. Now, you can use React hooks for this. Class components. More complex, with lifecycle methods and state management built in. With the introduction of hooks, most new code favors functional components, but class components are still common in many legacy projects. Props. Both functional and class components can accept props, which are inputs passed from a parent component. Props are read-only and are used to pass data from parent components to child components. Example of using props in a functional component. Function welcome, props. Return h1 hello, props.name, /h1. When rendering the welcome component, welcome name equals Alice /state. In addition to props, components can manage their own state. Unlike props, state is private to the component and can be changed over time. Example of state in a class component. Class counter extends React.component. Constructor, props. Super, props. This .state equals count, 0. Increment equals. This .setState, count, this .state.count plus 1. Render. Return. Div. P_count, this .state.count/p. Button on click equals this .increment /button. /div. State in functional components with hooks. Using React hooks, functional components can manage state. Import React, uses state from React. Function counter. Const count, set count equals uses state, 0. Return. Div. P_count, count/p. Button on click equals set count, count plus 1, increment/button. /div. Component lifecycle. In class components, React provides lifecycle methods to hook into different phases of the component's lifecycle. Mounting, when the component is first added to the DOM. Component did mount. Updating, when the component is re-rendered due to changes in props or state. Component did update. Unmounting, when the component is removed from the DOM. Component will unmount. In functional components, hooks like useEffect can handle similar life cycle events. Import React, useEffect from React. Function example. useEffect equals console.log, component mounted. Return equals console.log, component will unmount. / empty array ensures the effect runs only on mount and unmount. Reusable components. React components are designed to be reusable. You can create components once and use them throughout your application. Here's an example of a button component that can be reused. Function button, props. Return button onClick equals props.onClick props.label /button. / usage. Button label equals click me onClick equals handle click /. Button label equals submit onClick equals handle submit /. Conclusion. React components are essential for building dynamic, reusable UI pieces. Functional components are now the most popular, especially with hooks for state management, while class components are still used, particularly in older code bases. Components use props for data passed from parents and can manage state for local data that changes over time.